This week on the Hollywood in Toto podcast, we share how a red-pilled film journalist is under fire from the Hollywood Reporter, and we talk to the team behind God's Not Dead. Their latest project, well, it's a new type of film distribution. It's going to give people a voice. You know, the people who are often silenced? Well, yeah, they're going to help them out and so many more people. You're going to want to hear the details.
Welcome to the Hollywood in Toto podcast. Entertainment news and reviews without the woke Hollywood narrative. Free speech, free expression. Now that's entertainment. And here's your host, award-winning film critic, Christian Toto.
Well, before we kick things off, I hope you'll subscribe to the Hollywood in Toto podcast, whether it's on iTunes, Rumble, YouTube, you name it. We are everywhere at this point. I hope you're enjoying the show. And I do appreciate the support we've been getting for the last few months. We are trying to up our video game week by week. I hope you've noticed the changes that are happening here. And again, I appreciate your support. It means the world to me. The worst kept secret in Hollywood is that there's a new blacklist. No one wants to admit it. And yet, every few months, there's a new story that basically confirms it. You know what it is. If you're right of center in Hollywood, watch your back. Now, again, there are exceptions, the John Voights, the Tim Allens of the world. God bless them. But again, they are the exceptions. But what's interesting is that it doesn't just concern actors and screenwriters, directors, people on the cast and crew of a particular film or TV show. It even extends to film journalists. Sasha Stone is learning this the hard way. Sasha's been a real pioneer in this space. She started awardsdaily.com a while ago. She is a single mother. She has made this into a business, which is just, as someone in a similar field, it's really remarkable to do it as well as she has done over the years, giving a voice to people in Hollywood, sharing updates on the Oscar race each year. You name it, she's done it. And now she's under attack. There's a new hit piece out in the Hollywood Reporter that attacks Stone. Now, why would the Hollywood Reporter attack a journalist? It seems either inappropriate or illogical, but, well, turns out that Sasha has been red-pilled in recent years. She used to be a liberal. She was a Democrat. She would vote for Hillary Clinton over whoever the GOP nominee was at the time. And then slowly she started to investigate, do her own research. And she found out all the terrible, awful things they said about Donald Trump. Well, a lot of them weren't true. And she kept on digging and digging. And then she saw how people on the left, well, they didn't like free speech that much. They were all for the woke bylaws, which are constricting expression in Hollywood. She didn't like any of it. And so she's changed. She's evolved. She still has left of center views, but she is more right-leaning today than she was maybe a decade ago, maybe 5 years ago. And that, of course, put a target on her back. Now, the Hollywood Reporter comes out with this hit piece calling her a MAGA darling. I'm going to read one passage from the article just to show you what the intentions of this story are. A quote from Sasha Stone is toxic now, one executive told me, saying that their studio is pulling its ad dollars from Awards Daily. A representative from another studio said they would no longer invite her to screenings and events. If she's trying to be sarcastic, said a high-profile Academy member, it's not funny. Now, what they're referring to is that Sasha Stone used the term white power recently. Now, it wasn't out of the blue. It wasn't to celebrate white nationalism or some other phenomena that the left uses. It was because there was a recent gathering called White Dudes for Harris, all about Kamala Harris. Of course, it's racist. Of course, it's segregation to the core. And she was making fun of it. Just a little bit, just a little tweak, just a little comment on social media. And I guess that was enough to open the floodgates, to cause a publication like the Hollywood Reporter, with all their resources and all the power they have, to target a single mom who runs a successful blog. Well, there you go. It's just part of the blacklist. It shouldn't be surprising. It still hurts. It still hurts Sasha. It still hurts me because I've gotten to know Sasha over the last few years. Seems like a very nice person. I admire the work she's done. I admire the fact that she's built this career out of just nothing. How remarkable. What an achievement. She should be a feminist icon. But no, she's targeted by a major publication because she thinks the wrong way, because she changed her political views. That's why. That is the blacklist. But there is another more personal reason why I'm invested in her story and about this situation, because I could be canceled next. It's something I've thought about for quite some time. I am an openly right of center film critic and journalist. There aren't that many of us, trust me. So what does that mean for me? It means, what if I say the wrong quip? What if I share something on social media that can be interpreted one way, even if I didn't mean it that way? I could be next. Maybe Variety's got a hit piece waiting for me at some point. I just have to say the wrong thing. I just have to trigger it, and on it goes. What if someone pulls ads from my website, hollywoodintoto.com? What if people try to put a strike on my YouTube channel? This isn't conspiratorial talk. It's happening right now. Just ask Sasha Stone. She's living it. I think she'll be fine. I hope she'll be fine. I think she'll emerge stronger. She might even grow her fan base. Sasha Stone has a presence on Substack where she weighs in on issues, culture, Hollywood, the intersection of the two, a little bit of politics as well. I definitely recommend you check it out and subscribe. But we're all in this boat. If you don't believe a certain narrative, if you don't abide by a certain set of principles, if you don't follow a progressive playbook, you've got a target on your back. Now, the target may be invisible for now, but you say the wrong thing, you think the wrong thing, it could light up like a neon light. And that's where we are today. And of course, no one from Hollywood will stand up for Sasha Stone. What about the hundreds and hundreds of actors who have benefited from her coverage, who may have been championed by her, the work they've done, the movies they've tried to put out into the public, the awards they've won? Maybe she was one of the many voices trying to elevate them, celebrate them, honor the work they do. Do you think anyone's going to take a stand for Sasha Stone? You think anyone's going to rally behind her? Of course not. Hollywood is full of cowards. We've seen that over the last decade. Very few people stand up to the woke mob. Another example. Very few people stand up for free speech. Another example. There are hostages currently being held by Hamas, and Hollywood can't say a syllable about them. But you do have people like Rachel Zegler saying, "Free Palestine." That's Hollywood bravery. I worry about being canceled. I worry about losing advertisers. I worry about being shut out of the film critic community because I said or thought the wrong thing. It's possible. Sasha Stone, that's her reality right now. And it could be someone else's reality tomorrow. Filmmakers Chuck Konzelman and Cary have been in the business for quite some time. But at a certain point, these two people, who are people of faith, decided they'd had enough of the system. They want to go outside the system and tell different kinds of stories, spiritual stories, inspirational tales. And one of their first main projects was a little film called God's Not Dead. You want to talk about an ROI explosion? Oh my goodness. They made it for that much. It made that much. Of course, it sparked a franchise, which is still going on today. They've moved on from that series, and they're doing other projects, including some other films we'll talk about in a minute. They're also involved with a new, I would say, revolutionary project called SDG Releasing. It's a film distribution company that promises to take out the middleman, to be more transparent, to be an aid to filmmakers who just want their stories to be told and shared across the country. Now, one of their first projects in their film distribution lineup is Am I Racist? That's the Daily Wire documentary, which is coming September 13th. What could be more inflammatory? You've got Matt Walsh going undercover as a DEI expert. Can't wait to see this movie. You'll have a review of it here as soon as I possibly can share it. But for now, that's the kind of movie they like to share with this film distribution network, because it is irreverent, because it does cut across the grain, because it's the kind of movie that may struggle to get distribution elsewhere. So now it's SDG Releasing coming to the rescue. So I wanted to find out more about this company, why they needed to make it, and also a little bit about their philosophy moving forward. I always learn something new when I talk to Chuck and Cary, and I think after this conversation, you will too. Well, Chuck and Cary, thank you for joining the show. I love talking to you guys. You are so well-versed in everything going on in Hollywood, so many decades of experience. And obviously, when I heard about SDG Releasing, I wanted to find out more. But I think for people who are not in the loop, film distribution feels a little bit fuzzy to them, perhaps. Break down what that means and why what you're creating is so necessary right now.
Sure. Theatrical film distribution, and we're doing home video as well, but that's actually taking the finished film and making sure it gets brought and presented to all of the exhibitors being the people who run the theaters in your town, whether it's a big chain or whether it's a mom and pop, making sure that they know it's available and scheduling, the date when it will play there, making sure the actual digital delivery of the film takes place. We don't ship film cans anymore. Usually now for a while it was computer hard drives that got shipped. That was in advance, but now it's mostly digital downloads to the local theaters. And most people don't realize, I certainly didn't until we kind of got into this end of the business. When the information arrives at your theater, it's all encrypted. So if someone was to steal the digital data, it's useless. There's a separate key that comes, and only a particular projector at a particular day and a particular time is allowed to show that film. So coordinating all of that to help prevent piracy, coordinating the marketing campaign, the social media spend, the advertising buys, all that stuff, and then the booking and collections. And one of the things that's most surprising to filmmakers when they do this, I always mention you're going to have 3 white knuckle moments in your film distribution. And the third one is that you don't even know what rate you're going to get from the exhibitor until after your run is done. And going in and negotiating that in favor of the film, having an expert do that is part of the process. Right. So, and part of the reason why, going back to your question, why people tend not, even producers in a lot of cases, don't really understand distribution is it's usually kept hidden. It's a Wizard of Oz thing. The guy behind the curtain is trying to keep the producer and the filmmaker from seeing much of anything.
What could go wrong, right?
What could possibly go wrong? And they collect 100% of the money, and they give you what they say they owe you. So what could possibly go wrong?
Now, is there another twist here? And one of the reasons why you're getting into this space, because if you're a right-leaning film, a faith-friendly film, maybe film distributors maybe don't want to lean in that direction. Is that something of consequence as well?
That's absolutely the case. Exhibitors, the people who, the AMCs, the Regals, the Cinemarks, they tend not to have a progressive agenda overly. We can even take a conservative film, and I only have one smaller chain, let's say, with Am I Racist, which is refusing to play the film. And we're not going to publicly embarrass them right now, but they exist. Maybe they'll even change their mind. But the studios, as everybody knows, including the supermarket checkout guy or gal in Hackensack, New Jersey, they all know that they're relentlessly progressive. And so they won't touch the films that are conservative. In general, they don't even like faith-friendly films. They'll take the ones that I call the harmless faith-friendly films. But if you're doing an Unplanned like we did, which is a pro-life movie, even Sony, Columbia abandoned the Kendrick brothers with it, who had made them a fortune with War Room and Courageous and Fireproof and all those films. They did a film that touched on adoption, and they felt that was too close to pro-life and wouldn't distribute their film.
I'm laughing. It's not funny, but it's
yeah. So we got actually dragged into the distribution business kicking and screaming with Unplanned when no one would touch that film. And we prayed, and the Lord said, go do it yourself. And we're like, Lord, there's a whole business designed to keep producers from being able to distribute their own films. He's like, yeah, do it anyway. Yeah. You got my backing.
I'd like to interject though for a second, because we didn't make it just for Christian films, and it's not really. It's a distribution company, because filmmakers are being raped and pillaged for 50, 75 years. Every filmmaker that you talk to basically has a nightmare story of, my movie made 3 million, 5 million, 30 million, and I got a bagel with cream cheese sent to me, that kind of thing. And we got tired of it, especially, we've been in the business for over 30 years. And every time we had something successful, you get pillaged. And so it's really it's a counterculture move. We're at war with the studios and their content, and we're at war with the studios with the overt abuses. And not only the studios, but there's a lot of small distribution companies that say they're good guys, and they rape too.
By and large, the independent distributors are worse.
So the thing is here, the reason we did this is we felt that this was a seminal moment in the culture where there are enough filmmakers who basically have endured this. And this is a revolution coming the other way because we're radically honest. We got the lowest fee. I mean, the fee is sometimes under 10%, depending on the project, but usually 10% or less. Okay. We don't charge overhead. We don't mark it up. Like one of the tricks, if let's say you make 1,000 posters for your movie and they cost $1, let's say that's the cost. Well, the distributor goes and charges you $100 a poster. Or the overhead, for example, they go to Cannes, they take their whole office, all their wives and daughters, and they charge $500,000 to your movie. And let's not even talk about, the stealing. So the way I look at it is this, if you're a young filmmaker, and I don't necessarily mean young as in 19, 20, I'm talking skills. Yeah. That you're just coming out. You borrowed money from everyone you know, and now you go and you make a really good movie. Let's say you borrowed $500,000. And it's got hot and it's really, really good. And you take it out to a distributor and you don't get anything. And the distributor, for the most part, they make one phone call and then they're done. We're the complete and total opposite of that. This is a ministry for filmmakers. We want filmmakers to get their just desserts, but at the same time to make great movies again. Yeah. Hollywood is flailing for a reason. And so we feel this is the moment. And so when people say, well, is it a Christian distribution? No, we're an entertainment company. I'll distribute anything. Now, I'm not going to distribute demonic or satanic or 11-year-olds having sex and stuff like that. There is a line, okay? But overall, if your movie is good, we'll do it.
Yeah. I want to get to Am I Racist, which is coming September 13th. I know the director, Justin Folk, just a little bit. And whenever I'd meet him or we'd share emails, he would tease me, I'm working on something. I can't tell you anything about it. And we obviously know what it is now. We've seen the trailer. It looks incredible. But this is a prototypical film where you would think that some film distributors, if not a lot of them, would be like, oh, yeah, no, I'm good. So talk a little bit what you can about this project, because I know a lot of it's probably under wraps still.
That's exactly why we did SDG, because we think it's inappropriate that film A gets distributed and film B doesn't because somebody doesn't like it. Yeah. Okay, that's totally inappropriate. And it goes against American ideals, and it goes against everything that really morally centered people. Look, you don't want to go to the movie, don't go to the movie. Yeah. But Am I Racist is going to light up the sky. I mean, we're very, very excited about it.
It's a lot of fun, and it's a comedy. It looks like a documentary, but it's really largely a comedy because it's what it really is the Emperor Has No Clothes moment. Yeah, that goes on for a feature length, and it's just a hoot to watch this.
It's from the Daily Wire. It's from Matt Walsh. This is the sequel to What Is a Woman? Different subject now. He gets crazy and funny all over again, but this is going to be a blast. People are going to love this. And it's when you watch the movie, you're going to say to yourself, I can't believe that there are people that actually say and think these things. And it's... Well,
here's a mild spoiler alert. So he goes touring the country and he goes on newscasts and stuff, and he's a certified DEI expert. He becomes a certified DEI expert by virtue of taking a 30-minute online course and getting his certificate.
And he gets for $200, and he gets a little white card saying he's certified. And everywhere he goes, he keeps showing it to people. It's fun. I mean, it's funny.
And he winds up on TV on one of these morning shows in a major market, and it's just a hoot.
It's really, really well done, and it's really it's Matt Walsh. I mean, Matt Walsh is amazing, and he's got a big following, and I think all of America. I mean, it's time for us to laugh at each other again. I mean, we're living in dark times. I mean, it's good to laugh. Yeah, and people are going to laugh.
I think if I was a filmmaker out there and I was listening to this conversation, some of the things we've said or are going to be saying, I'd be like, well, is this too good to be true? Can this honesty really, exist like this? But, the fact that the Daily Wire, I don't know a lot of people smarter than Ben Shapiro or more, demanding business-wise than Jeremy Boring and those guys. They're really great. Half of their staff, I think, is lawyers.
For good reason.
They're trusting us with their first ever feature release, and we have a 5-year exclusive for all their home video releases, which they're actually now going to do broad market home video market releases on their existing product through us.
Yeah.
If we can pass their test, I think we can pass anybody's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to say one thing too, that a lot of people think, oh, you just go start a distribution company. That's not the way it works. You're locked out from doing that. This was a divine moment. And we've been planning this move for several years. I mean, this is so when we came into it, we wanted to be a very big, very powerful entity that grows and that people come to in that way. So it's not like, oh, we got nothing to do this week and let's start a distribution company.
Well, I can show you my favorite piece of show and tell. This is something most producers who've been in the business for decades have never seen. And it's one of the things that if we do a project, one of the things that went over the Daily Wire starting up, we said, look, your theatrical collections will be lockbox. Lockbox in the modern sense doesn't mean that it goes into a physical locked box. What it means is that we don't touch any checks when they come in from a theater chain. They go into a specific account, and then what happens is that here's the show and tell. Most people have never seen this. We made a dozen movies before I ever saw one of these. This is a theatrical check. Now, the check comes, this is for 1 week for one chain of one. This is Regal's first week check for Nefarious, and it's for a little over $500,000. But the reason it goes on for 50 or 60 pages like that is every night of every theater in the chain, that place has a separate line item. If there are matinees at different prices, that is a separate line item. Well, what happens is that for anyone we distribute for, they get a digital photo of every page of that check. They see every line item of detail. When it gets through to home video, we actually use a service that goes out to the libraries, let's say for DVDs. If someone checks out a DVD, there's a specific line item for that DVD for 78 cents.
I mean, it's total transparency.
Transparency is just unheard of. And that's what we're looking to. We're looking to upset the apple cart.
Yeah.
We're looking to change the industry and turn it on its head by saying everything should be fully transparent. It's your film, not ours. Let us distribute it for you.
It feels like there's I don't think it's just with film, but other areas as well, kind of a parallel economy where if you can't get into this, you've got to build that. And it's a very similar structure. It's just more open to people who are somehow shut out of the traditional economy. Is that kind of part of what you're doing in a way?
That's part of our in-house mantra is this: we couldn't find an honest distributor, so we created one. And that's what we were, ironically, through an action of the Lord, called to do. And I want to be very careful. We've had bad accountings from standard industry stuff. We've had bad accountings from even Christian industry stuff,
which is sad.
None of that should exist.
Yeah.
Everybody should get a fair shake.
But you're right. There is another rail that's emerging, and I will tell you, and prophetically and in prayer, we've been told this: the Lord is going to take the culture back through the media. He's raising up filmmakers now. It's shocking. I'm talking to a lot of filmmakers that are being told to go to Dallas-Fort Worth. I believe it's going to emerge out of Dallas-Fort Worth. I will tell you that I look at Hollywood. They cannot sustain the direction they're going on. Warner's has got $46 billion in debt, and they're bringing in $20 billion. That doesn't work long term. They're not putting out movies people want to see. You go to the movie theaters. And so you've got young entrepreneurs, just like in the Industrial Revolution, when somebody said, hey, I'm going to lay track. Hey, I'm going to package this gasoline in barrels and, do this kind of thing. It's the same moment. This is a seminal moment, like I said before, for this kind of thing to happen. If you're a filmmaker on any level, an actor, carpenter, painter, there's a boom coming, but it's not going to be a Hollywood-centered boom. I think Hollywood, in my opinion, is all but dead. I don't think it's going to die and disappear, but I do think it's going to crash hard. I mean, look at the statistics. 60 and 70% of people are not even working. Okay, it's never happened in the history of Hollywood because they're committed to the political propaganda, and we're committed to making movies. We're committed to getting people's movies out, and we're in the process of building something called Believe Plus, which is our streaming platform. So literally, I can go from my distribution company. If Amazon doesn't want to distribute, I'll put it on Believe Plus. So we've got this circle. This people come in the door, we do business, and the best part of all of this is honestly, we're radically honest. So we're not going to take a penny. No one touches that person's money. We take our fee. So if 600,000 comes in, we take our 60. They see the check. Their check is 540, and we pay in a month. So unlike the industry, which drags it on and on and on, everything in the industry is hidden because if you're going to steal, you got to hide stuff, right? I mean, that's the truth, right?
Yeah.
We put everything on the table and say, look, this is what came in. We'll show you the documentation. I mean, I can go so far as to say, okay, Tuesday night in Iowa on Main Street at the AMC or the Regal or the Cinemark, row G, seat 7, there was a sale there for $7.50. It's unbelievable. And we give it all to them, either digitally or on hard copy.
Now, you're both storytellers at the core. I read some credits on IMDb, but you tell me, what are you working on from either scripts or films or TV projects, or besides the distribution? What's you guys always have a lot of plates spinning.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because SDG, once we get that in motion, we've got a team that we brought in. They've been in the business 20 and 30 years. All of them are pros. They're from Regal and Cinemark and so on. So we've stood that up. And so now it's time for us to go and start doing more product and expanding our product. We're also building a streaming platform. So, I mean, I'd love to do right now we're looking to put together a fund so that we can go and do this stuff, but especially in TV, because I think TV is now the most important vehicle to convey entertainment. And so we want to do Nefarious, the TV show, which I think is going to be amazing. We've got several. We've got several comedies. We've got a lot of shows, but we're also doing reality. We're also doing kids animation, which I think, cartoons and stuff, because I believe that right now the agenda is to, unfortunately, Disney is no longer be your babysitter for your children. Yeah. Because they're basically doing corrupt and immoral things, right? Yeah. So we need a place where moms and dads can leave their kids for 4 hours. So we're doing that. So we're in every aspect of production right now. We've got hundreds of submissions. So it's a matter of sorting it out, funding it, pushing it forward, and then taking it through. We're building a post facility in Dallas so that we can just keep everything here. Honestly, I know it's going to sound crazy. I never thought I would say this. I don't need Hollywood. I'm totally immune to the threats and the overwhelming, evil. We're totally independent. And I think you're going to see this happen in multiple places.
Yeah. Well, one last question to wrap things up. You don't need Hollywood, but you do need people. And as a right-leaning critic and just as a movie person, I get frustrated when there's good product out there that doesn't draw a huge crowd. I always mention Richard Jewell from a few years ago, which was just a terrific film. And it had a lot of things that I think right-leaning audiences would savor, and they just didn't show up. So for people who are frustrated by Hollywood, who want content like you're producing and distributing, what can you tell them? What kind of message would you share as far as being a part of the solution or being a part of new opportunities?
The cavalry is on the way. And I will tell you, we're coming over the hill. And this is a God thing. I will tell you straight off the bat. I agree with you. But it comes down also, obviously it's complicated, but that also comes down to marketing. The studios are very capable. They know how to market very well. They market them they own the media. They market the messages very well. So we have design. We're raising $100 million P&A, which is advertising. You have to be able to compete in the marketing. So if you take something like Richard Jewell, and I'll give you Nefarious, a perfect example. It was a $2 million movie that everybody was going to see 7 and 8 and 9 times. And certain people didn't want to give us marketing money so that we could go forward. So we ended up with $3 million in marketing, and nobody knew that the movie was out. They would have had $150 million, $200 million movie because everybody loves this movie. Yeah. And the haters hate it. So they just keep on hitting it with zeros, right? So I got tens and zero. I'm still 96% after a year on Rotten Tomatoes. And the critics, I think, are like minus 400, whatever it is. But the point being, okay, that marketing money, when you take marketing money and great content, that's nitro and glycerin. Richard Jewell gets up and walks if it has enough marketing, because conservatives are now ready. And not only conservatives, by the way, I have a lot of secular friends. They're a little conservative. They're a little liberal. They pick and they choose. Yo, I'm pro this. I'm anti this. You know what they really want? All I want to do is go to see a movie. I want to forget that I have rent. I want to forget I have a mortgage. My boy is 19 and he comes to me and he says to me, Daddy, I go to the movie theater. Where am I going to take my dates? That I can't watch anything in the movie. There's nothing for me in the movie or for me and my girlfriend or my friends. Yeah. How can that possibly happen? So we can fill that void. So I think the combination of all the structures with the funding and especially content is king. Yeah. If you've got great material, bam. And by the way, everything I'm saying has been vetted. Top Gun, $1 billion. All the other garbage they put out, crashed. They spent $400 million and it makes $20 million at the box. So good content is what people want. They want to be entertained. And that's, to us, that's what this is all about. Yeah. That's what we've committed our lives to.
Yeah. Chuck, any final thoughts?
I think we've covered pretty much all of it.
Excellent. Well, listen, thank you both of you for being on the show. I appreciate the work you've done over the years. And by the way, Nefarious was so good. And what a two great performances there as well. And if you haven't checked it out, please do so. But the new company is SDG Releasing. The new film is, what's that?
SDG.
Yeah, I did. I thought I said that, but SDG. I think my J and G are merging. Anyway,
okay,
and the new film is
the Easter egg for your audience is it stands for Sola Deo Gloria.
Excellent.
Glory unto God alone.
And Am I Racist is coming soon, September 13th. I cannot wait to see that in a theater. It's going to be wild. Thank you so much. Good work. Keep it up. And also, I just love the fact that you're building this parallel economy. We do need it. And for people out there, if you're frustrated by the sequels and the lack of imagination and the content that insults you, here you go. Chuck and Cary are doing something different. They're doing something about it. So check out their work, and I hope to talk to you guys soon.
Appreciate it.
Before we sign off this week, I hope you'll check out HollywoodinToto.com. Yes, it's a blatant plug, but hey, it's the site's 10-year anniversary. I think that's an achievement. I don't know. I've been doing this for a while. I've worked 7 days a week, and it is a labor of love. And I just am so grateful to have Hollywood in Toto over the years. Like this show, it is the right take on entertainment. It's got news, reviews, commentary, interviews with people who are problematic sometimes. Some are canceled. Some have been ducking cancellation for a while. You never know who you're going to find at HollywoodinToto.com, but I do hope you'll check it out. And again, I appreciate your feedback. I appreciate you checking out the show, and I will see you next week.